ready? Let's go.
Let it all out, we gon' let it out. With wounds in the way. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah. With wounds in the way.
What's up, guys? We are back with another episode of Wounds in the Way, and we are sponsored by Fashion Nova. Thank you, guys. So today we are going to talk about a woman's worth and not having these titles being placed on us. We are tired of that. And I have a really special friend here, Azja. Thank you so much for being here. Who also, like me, has a baby daddy in the industry. Mine, obviously, guys, you know, happens to be O, and everybody, I'm referred to as Omarion's baby mama. I'm tired of it. I'm over it. And she was at one point referred to Chris Tucker's baby mama.
A long time ago, yes.
How did that make you feel?
Well, first of all, when Chris and I were together, this was before the days of Instagram and TikTok. So I was able to escape it kind of in your face all the time.
Ugh,
you know,
yeah.
It was just like if there was a major kind of incident that happened, you know, we were kind of tied to a couple of like big things, and then my name, it might come out like on TMZ or something like that. But at the time, you know, obviously the term baby mama, I mean, it's degrading.
It is.
Right? Because at the end of the day, we're family, even if we're married or not. You know, people want to slap labels on you, and that's a label that has kind of stuck. But when you look at it, the way it's used, it's very degrading, you know, at the end of the day. And Chris is my family. Our son is 25 years old. So, I mean, it's been a long time. Yes, I have a 25-year-old.
That's crazy. I can't believe that. Wow.
Yeah, and he's my family. He's the father of my son, you know?
So you both, I know both of you have had that experience as far as the baby mama, right? And we have a lot of people in where we work that have that title. How the heck do you get away from that title where you're no longer just attached? Because you are not just anything. This is just so-and-so's baby's mama. This is just anything. What exactly, how do you embody who you are? Does that make sense? So that you can show that to other people and that's how they define you.
Well, just knowing who you are and being true to yourself, people are always going to label you as something, whether you are Mrs. such and such's mother. You know, so you're always going to have that label, but it's about just like knowing who you are, being at peace with that, stepping away from the label. I mean, the label is always going to be there. When you're with someone who is of that magnitude, who's a global artist or actor, like people are going to always cast that on you, but that's their label. That's not yours. That's not who you are.
Right?
That's how they know you.
That's how they know or associate you. So then the question becomes like, how do we, it's not that we have to prove who we are, but a lot of times, so if someone says, oh, who's that? Someone will say, oh, that's the person who works here, or you're associated by your job. You're associated by your occupation or like your skill set or whatever that is. Where do we find our own value if it's not out of a man, if it's not from our job? Where do we find that from as ourselves?
Tapping into the true you. What is it that makes you happy? What are you passionate about? You know, as women, we are naturally nurturers. You know, we give to our children, to our families, our partners, our jobs, everything, society. But at the end of the day, how are you pouring into yourself? So I think it's really important for women, young women. If I could talk to my younger self, I would say just really take that time for you, like really just, you know, discover that thing that you're passionate about and just like be at peace with that and go with that. And you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Everyone's going to have an opinion, and an opinion doesn't pay any bills. It doesn't do anything for you.
Their opinion does not pay my bills.
Right.
And I know there's a lot of times too where we'll be connected to somebody that has, that we were really connected and close with at one point. And we're okay. Like for me, I was married for 20 years. I was okay being connected to that person when someone said, oh, that's so-and-so's wife, or that's because I was okay representing that. Then when it turns bad, you'd be like, nah, like, don't
wasn't me.
connect me to that.
Right.
It wasn't me. Like, don't do that. But, and it's not even that person was a bad person. It was like, my season has changed.
Of course,
and that needs to, you need to reflect that and basically respect that. So I don't know. I think a lot of times people get stuck even in taking on someone else's identity that they give you. Like you said, they're already going to give you a label.
Right.
So do you want to accept it? Do you want to sit in it? Do you want to keep that? Or do you want to change that narrative?
But that happens a lot more so, like, just publicly, you know?
Of course.
Like, it happens way more publicly than just like on a normal day.
Well, because when you are exposed to the public, you're exposed to everyone's opinions on your life. But
so
that
it's harder.
You don't have to ingest that and take that and make that about you and sit under someone's shadow. Like, you develop who you are, you develop your skill set, you develop your passions, you pour into yourself, you do the work, you do self-development, you get yourself together.
Because we forget, women are people before their relationships. You know, everybody is someone before somebody else.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. It's just interesting how the world does that.
And at the end of the day, when we all transition into the next realm, like, we're gonna do that alone. So, you know, and what they say about you, it's not gonna be tied to someone else. So what do you do with that from the time you're born and, you know, you are giving your identity into the time you die? Like, what do you do in between that time? You gotta, like, you know, develop something for yourself. What are you leaving? What kind of legacy? What do you want people to say about you? What kind of impact do you want to make? You know, so that's how I think. That's what I like encourage in women. I love to see women doing their thing. I love what you're doing. Love what you're doing, friend.
Thank you.
You know, and I'm just for women, like, really holding their own and really stepping into their power.
So with your daughter, like, what ways are you showing her how to have, you know, self-worth? Like, what are you teaching her on the conversations that are being had? And maybe you're not, you know, because she's so little.
Yeah,
but
my daughter, she's really sensitive. She's 7.
Okay.
I mean, our kids go to school together, so
they do.
they go to school. So she's very sensitive. So it's interesting you asked that, because I do have to have these conversations with her. Like, it's not you. It's that other person. It's how they filter, what they think about you. But just because someone says, no, you're lying, and you know you're not lying, like, don't get upset. Why are you getting upset? You know, so
Absolutely.
These are conversations, real conversations I am actually having with her right now, because she takes everything so personally. Yeah, she's sensitive too.
And I'm like, May, please, like, she cries about it and she wants to try to fix everything. But I'm like,
that might have been all of us at one point. Yeah. When we just, especially, I just feel like as women, are just the femininity that comes off of us, of being nurturers, of being sensitive. And I know somewhere somebody comes in and, like, snatches that innocence, snatches away that sensitivity where you got to get hard. And where, you know, I have a new friend that I just recently met who is so zoned in on masculinity and femininity. And I never understood. It just always sounded so feminist, like when you're like, stay, like, one of the, I'm gonna call him out on this too. This is Blitz, Busta Rhymes' manager. This man says to me, I asked him a question. He was like, Mel, stay in your femininity. You look much better there. I was like, I got so offended, right?
Does that mean stay in the kitchen?
That's what it sounded like to me. I said, what do you mean stay in my femininity? He was like, you're much better there. Don't push. And I got offended. And then when I met this girl, this other woman, her name is Denai. She has Black Marriage Movement. She talks a lot about femininity and masculinity. And she just shared with me what that looked like for me and my husband. And she said, you're coming a little bit too much into your masculine, and you can't win there because you were never designed to be there. Right. So take on your position as a feminine woman and stay in that. You're your power in that. And let him operate in the masculine. And then Apryl and I were just speaking about this a little bit yesterday, a couple of days ago, and I said, Apryl, you are, because I've been telling this woman, I cannot stand working with with women, because they're so, like, too much estrogen. They're, like, petty sometimes, right? I was like, I love working with her because she comes off very strong. And I said she got more testosterone than most of the men that we work with, and she's easy to deal with. But she also, unfortunately, has to operate out of that space because a lot of people that she's around doesn't cover her. So she has to
Yeah.
take on both sides.
She got to stand up for herself.
Yeah.
But the thing about it with that femininity, you know, women, we're powerful, but that doesn't mean like strong, in your face, loud, right?
Yeah.
So when stepping into your essence as a woman, into your true divine nature as a woman, it's a subtle, but it doesn't mean that you're not strong. It doesn't mean you're not powerful. It's just a more subtle way. Men are just like in your face, you know, and rah, 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 rah.
Yeah.
But that's not a woman's place. You know, with your mind, you know, you can kind of navigate in a different way, but staying true to your essence. So I do understand what that person was saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I feel like the allure of a woman in her strength is the most sexy thing. It's the most empowering thing, you know, that a woman can do. And so to see a badass woman, like, you know, on top of her stuff, but then she is, you know, just in that essence of femininity is just like.
But you know what? But there's some women that can't be in that, and maybe sometimes that's why I go to my masculinity
because they feel like they're not defended.
Well, no. Well, also, for me, my relationship with my dad. You know, you kind of look to your parents to kind of instill that.
Right.
So sometimes when you don't have that and you're raised in that way, it's like you almost
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to teach yourself,
Right.
and that is a longer road to navigate.
Yeah.
But
and I think that some women also who do feel that way, it kind of moves them into a space where they feel like they need to be in a relationship,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Whether many times it could be toxic relationships, you know, but it seems like, you know, whatever your experiences have been in life, you know, or how you've reacted to, or how people have made you feel like you need to react to it to protect yourself, or
Right.
just, you know, just some kind of post-traumatic stress, you know, may lead you into relationships. So that's why it's really important for women to develop like who you truly are, and that you are enough, and you are powerful, you are strong. God's got you.
but
Like,
some
you don't
women are
need-
like really. So some women don't have the tools. So what would you say to that girl, to that woman? Like if she didn't have if she didn't feel like she had the tools, what would be your advice to that? Because I mean, you strong, you know what I mean? And maybe your upbringing was that you had both parents and you saw a really good household, but for the ones that don't, and we you know, lack the value, and we had again longer time to get there.
Yeah.
It's like,
you know, I mean, there's a couple. Who are women, powerful women who find a powerful woman you can look up to, you know, and kind of study them. Do the work, like read a book, you know. The Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Meyer is a really great book. I read that book probably 20 years ago. Incredible book. You know, read a book, like listen to some YouTube personal development videos, do that work. Work on yourself first before you step out with somebody else, because I guarantee you, you're not the best version of yourself, and you're not going to attract someone who is going to pour into you.
or place that value.
Right, and make sure your circle is tight and like they're pouring into you. There should be no competition. There should be, you know, nothing but, you know, you guys are all reciprocating love and support and nurturing one another, dreams, goals. You know, I think that's where you start. You know,
There's a lot. You're right. That's where you have to start. And there's a lot of people, just even close friends that I have that that don't seem like they can be alone. If that makes sense. You know what? I'm talking to myself. Because for real, I say, you know what? I can name some people, but I'm about to put me on there because it's not even about I have to be in a relationship. Granted, I'm married. That kind of takes me off of that. But it's just, I don't really like being isolated very much. There's something there that it's like I have to give, I have to do, I have to something, and just sitting with me. Now, when I do have to do some work and like go like introspectively and all those things, that's great. But that's usually like when everyone's sleeping, there is no one to talk to. You know what I'm saying? But if I had my choice, it would always be around people and with someone. And I know there's a lot of people that I know personally that can't really be alone. Someone said the other day to me, they were talking about another friend of mine. They said, you are so much better when you're by yourself, basically. And you don't sit, but I never see you without a man. So, and I was looking at the like, oh, wow. I didn't think about that for that person before. It didn't dawn on me that that's how they were living, because I don't even think they realize that. You know, take a second, take a beat. That relationship is over. Take a second, spend some time with you. And here's the thing. As you're developing what God wants you to be and you're starting to change, now you're going to alter, just like we were just talking about. Now you start to attract what it is that you really want, not what it is, because you're becoming that. Does that make sense? So as you're becoming, and not the whole, I'm not talking about the secret, you manifest it, you speak it into existence. I'm saying you allow the Lord to change your heart and you start to put the work into yourself. And now you're attracting that, because you're going, oh, I want someone who's going to lead me. I want a man who loves God, who's going to spend, you know, time covering me. But are you in the word? Are you spending, why is he going to want a woman like that?
You're never going to attract that.
At all.
Because if you're coming in, you know, people say, I'm trying to find my better half. But what about coming in whole and attracting another whole? And you guys now are two wholes instead of two broken halves, you know? So it is important to spend time alone, you know, to be in your thoughts. I think I actually prefer to be alone a lot of times. I love my man. I do. I love you. I love my family.
Shameless plug.
I love my children. I do. But there is a peace I find in being alone, maybe because I was raised in a household alone. So that was always my kind of, you know, I was fine. And so I can be fine. I'm also a Virgo, and we kind of tend to close off sometimes. So, you know, it's important. You know, it kind of makes you look inward, the good, the bad, the ugly, you know, when you are, because you don't have that distraction. You don't have the noise, even though it's your family, it's whoever, you know, whatever relationship that you are in or you're surrounding yourself with. But the noise is not there. So it's just you, and it's you and God, and, you know, those conversations are happening.
Do you think you've stepped into when you said, I found the power, you know, in just being the woman that I am? Have you stepped into like the point of maximizing that? Because I could tell you for sure I have not. I'm learning.
Yeah, I have learned there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm not there yet, though. I know there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot to be done. You know, and I just have to get out of my own way.
What does that mean?
Step outside of my comfort zone, and I spoke with you a little bit about that. You know, I live, some people would say, a soft life, even though it's not soft, because, you know, I work very hard. But just getting outside of that, and there are a lot of things I want to do, you know, and I just kind of need to push myself out. And if I fail, then I just pick up the pieces and start over, you know. But I just need to get out and do it.
And you know that.
I know it. I do.
Right?
I
Up
do.
here, like,
But what do you feel like?
Right?
What do you feel like is the like hindrance? You know,
My comfort zone.
just being comfortable.
Half the time, I don't feel like leaving the house, friend.
No.
I will. I'm so good, you know. So, but that's a problem, because I've built this haven, you know, which is beautiful. It's a safe space to go back to. But it's there's a whole world out there.
Isn't a comfort zone built to protect you? Like, doesn't that mean that we're afraid of something?
Yeah. So there's something. So definitely, I can say, in a way, it is.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. But see, that's why I've always had so much respect for you, because I feel like you do step outside, and you do what you, I mean, you know, from the acting to the, I mean, baby girl is working, you know,
I know.
So
I really do just jump.
I don't find, you jump.
I just
right?
jump, yeah.
Jim Rohn said that, jump and the net will appear.
Oh. I'm not a risk taker. That's scary. Nah, I ain't doing that at all.
Yeah, I do jump.
There's too much that comes. Oh, sorry. Why do you jump? Go jump. Like, I'll watch you.
I don't know, because I just feel like we have one life, and I don't want to ever question what I could have done. I don't want to look back at my life and be like, could I really have done that? I want to know that I did it, and maybe it didn't necessarily work, and give myself a fair shot. And I've always been that kid. I feel like my daughter's like that. It's like she jumps into the pool. She don't even know how to swim, but then she swims. I'm like, how did you do that? Like, so it's just about at this point doing it.
Yeah, but sometimes she'd be crazy. Like, I'll call her. She'd be like, I'm in Mexico. Herself, by herself in Mexico, some random place, walking through the streets, talking to random people. I'm like, that's not safe, right? But I just need to get away. I just needed a moment. I wanted something different. Like, you know, I'm like home. Like you saying, like keeping myself
Yeah.
in that box. But then we miss out on opportunities.
We do. We miss out. And I know I've probably missed out on a fair amount of opportunities, you know, in the past. But I'm working on that.
Is there anything specific? You said that so nicely. I'm working on that. Is there anything specific that you know, like either of you, like this is what we could miss out on if you don't allow yourself to operate from a place of, I'm going to say faith, because I think fear is what hinders us the most. So stepping out on the faith that jumping is going to allow that net to appear.
I don't know, just like, for me, I just wouldn't feel like I lived life if I didn't. I just have
That's your
to.
life.
Yeah, I have to. I wouldn't feel like I gave myself a fair shot.
I see that. Yeah, I know. There's
And then, you know, when I see my kids, it's like I want them to be able to have that same drive. I don't want them to feel stuck or like they can't, or because we can get caught, you know. And sometimes I'm scared. I'm scared as hell. Like I'm about to do a play, and I'm like, oh my God, I've never, you know. But it's like, balls to the wall.
for real.
Balls to the wall.
Yeah.
It usually
know?
works out well for you too. So I mean, thank you for being our inspiration, because we'll be
Yeah,
watching.
thank you for coming.
Yes,
You know, I
thank
love
for
you.
having
You're
me.
she's an amazing friend.
I
and-
love you, boo.
Thank you. Guys, keep healing, but also Fashion Nova, because I've been sitting here and I'm actually comfortable. I feel like I don't got no clothes on. This little slit, my legs can breathe and all the things. Thanks again for always providing comfort for me. Guys, go to fashionnova.com.
Wounds in the